the current situation in Sudan. As many of you already have probably heard, in Sudan, rebels rose up against the government, and that whole conflict has the potential to turn into a civil war. In red, we see the Sudanese armed forces, which is basically the government's troops. They're controlled by Borhan, which is this fella. And in yellow, we see the Rapid Support Forces. They are being controlled by Hemeti, which is that guy. And because these two didn't come along, a huge conflict broke out where the capital of Sudan, Khartoum, already was wildly damaged and already has problems with infrastructure, water, and electricity. And basically, the population of the whole country is now rising up, and we have to wait how that will develop. But now we got the Balkans in the year 1300, and East Rome still exists. So that's cool. But we see they are already in decline. If we see that, how Byzantine looked 800 years ago, and even 300 years ago, that's still really a downgrade. And at this point, there is really nothing that they can do to survive. The Ottomans will eventually rise up and form their own kingdom. There are also like threats in the north of Serbia and Bulgaria, which both want a piece of the cake, which is in that case East Rome. So yeah, they will be still alive for another 150 years. But eventually the Ottomans will conquer Constantinople. We see at that point the British and the French haven't colonized too much, especially like Congo and the Central Africa. So a lot of the map is still white and unexplored because, I mean, literally, what do you want there? It's just jungle. But in the next like 60 years, most of that will get explored and mapped. How long does it take you to become a millionaire with the average income in each European country? Obviously, the better the economy, the faster you will get a millionaire. And we see that with countries like Ukraine and Kosovo, where does it take you over 200 years to become a millionaire? And that's not including, expenses, so what do you pay? Just the income. And then compare it to like Germany, where it takes you 15 to 30 years to become a millionaire. And probably this whole more eastern region, especially Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova and Russia, probably won't increase in the next few years because of that war going on here in Ukraine, which is the complete opposite of what it takes to have a healthy and growing economy. Map of China in 1949, which was the official end of the Chinese Civil War. And it just really looks completely the opposite what it was 4 years ago, and even just a year ago, or 2 years ago. If you compared it to 1948, that's just crazy. That the Republic of China just collapsed and the communists just took over the whole country in like 1 or maybe 2 years. I really don't know why they just so collapsed. I think that maybe the Soviet Union sent the communists in China extreme super many weapons. Else, I don't know why the Republic of China under Chiang Kai-shek just performed so horribly after the end of the Second World War. Turkey or Greece? Which is more searched? In red we have Turkey, in blue we have Greece. And it looks like in that competition, the two 1,000-year-old rivals, Turkey just dominates. Except in North Korea, there we have no data. Which is, I think that's reasonable. With the upcoming election in Turkey, which will probably decide over the future of Turkey, with Erdogan over here wanting to turn Turkey into a neo-Ottoman empire under a super authoritarian regime. And the other guy, which I still can't pronounce,
Kılıçdaroğlu.
wanting to turn Turkey back into a democratic parliamentary republic without a presidential system. So it's really deciding if Turkey will be in the future still a liable partner or just a Chinese and probably Russian puppet. But yeah, that Turkey dominates that hard, I wouldn't have expected. That is the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance. We get the info that the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance / Rio de Janeiro / Rio Pact / TR, signed in 1947 in the city of Rio de Janeiro, is an American mutual defense pact initially counting with 23 members. It now has 18 countries. So just a try from probably, I think, by the American president at that time, Harry Truman, to prevent any war in the future on the American continent, and probably also to keep the Soviets and the Europeans completely out of the US sphere of influence. But I wonder why the countries left. Like, why did Bolivia, Ecuador, Mexico? I can see why Nicaragua left. And Canada, probably because they are already in NATO. But why the rest? Maybe they thought the US influence is too much, or they just wouldn't need it. What we see here is which land the People's Republic of China claims. So our good old communist China as we know it. Except they claim some land over here in Central Asia, down here in direction to India, and obviously Taiwan. But the rest of their claims they have and rule with an iron fist over it. But in comparison, here we have what the Republic of China, so modern Taiwan, actually claims. And they go all the back to the old days. Actually claiming all of Mongolia, a lot more in Central Asia, all that down here in India. And yeah, that's interesting. I don't even know why they do that, or that they think they get that back, especially that's over here in Mongolia, that in China maybe someday, but up here in Mongolia, that's, I think, very unlikely. Fitting for that region, we have the effect of the Himalayan mountain range here visualized. We see in South Asia it's already 41 degrees, even though the summer just started. As we see here, the Himalayan mountain ranges reaches from Afghanistan all the way almost to Myanmar. And we just see that nothing of that heat is coming over that. I mean, they have such high mountains over there. Just look at all these mountains. So yeah, no heat will survive going through that. Russian map made in the beginning of the 20th century of Central Eastern Europe. The problem is that map is still in the language I can't read, but I just can guess. In the blue we have the Prussians, the Germans. Next that are the Polish. Down here is probably like the Ruthenian guys, which will become the Ukrainians. Over here, I think these two are very related, very close, and that are like the ethnicity which will form Belarus. And then over here we have the Baltic state, which, and I think this orange there is maybe Russians. But it's cool to see that at that time they already had such a clear look on who was living there. Maybe a bit scary that they even want to know that exactly, but interesting. Real GDP growth over 25 years, from 1997 to 2022. So the real GDP adjusts for inflation and then all the other stuff that is just really complicated, which I'm not going into. But if you do it with that, the whole economy just grew less, at least if you look in percentage. For example, Germany with only 37%, Italy with only 10%. If you compare it with 1997, with around 1.2 billion, to 2021 with 2.1 billion, it looks like it almost has doubled. But if you look at the inflation rate, you see it's already very high, which just causes that the economy in general and how much you can buy actually with your money just doesn't improve too much. The strongest in Europe are actually Ireland with 316%, which is quite substantial. Especially like Ireland had such an extreme GDP growth from 80 million at the end of the 90s to now 500 million. So it looks like they're doing something right there. Also very fast growing Poland, Lithuania, and Estonia, also Latvia and Romania. Yeah, we see the more developed the country, the less you can actually grow more. So it's no surprise that like France, Germany, or the UK doesn't improve too much anymore because they're already that rich that it's hard to get even more. And down in the US, it looks similar but different, very different in the East. I have the feeling like that more states are more dark red than in Europe. And here the fastest states are actually North Dakota, California, Texas. Oh no, the fastest is Utah. I don't know why Utah. Does Utah have, like, what economy does Utah have? If you know, please let me know. I just can't imagine that they have like super high-tech stuff or something. But yeah, interesting. At least no country where in the minus and lost stuff, because over 25 years, so that would be very bad. Fitting for the US, we have the total fertility rate in average between 2017 and 2019. They portray every single county that has more than 100k residents, and the funny thing is that Wyoming is just one. There is nothing else there. And overall, that's like a lot. Like the average is by 1.7 traffic accidents per 100k residents. I don't know what county is actually the highest. Maybe like, I think that over there in New York. Is that Manhattan? No, that's not the New York City. What is that? And why is it so high? But overall, New England is like very safe. The coast seems to be more safe than the inlands, especially like these random 3 squares over here. Maybe they just don't have regulations for safety, or I have no idea. And now the map. For that you clicked on that video. Russia's unfriendly countries list in 2023. So Russia's unfriendly country list was a list made by Russia, I think shortly before the Ukraine war started, to just say they help Ukraine and sanction us and say something against us because we are fighting against an innocent country, and they think that's not okay. And we see kind of the narrative, like most of Europe, especially the EU and NATO countries, are all unfriendly. So also like Australia, New Zealand, and that's just very harshly criticized, like South Korea and Japan. I don't think they even sanctioned Russia or gave Ukraine weapons. Actually, Japan sent military aid, but like many of these didn't even do that and still are being called unfriendly. Also, why Singapore? What's that Singapore do? Please, as always, if I missed something here, or if you can answer one of my many questions that I asked in this video, please let me know the answer in the comments. Because that's stuff I really want to know. And also, like, what's behind it? Why did they do that? Oh, that's not a good sign for democracy. Was life better under communism? The percentage of people who said yes. And the scary thing, that the people living in a dictatorship like Russia only think 60% it was better under communism. But then countries like Lithuania, which are clearly a democracy, are even higher than that. Also, Ukraine and Moldova with both around 80%. Bulgaria with almost 90%. Hungary with 92%. 9 of 10 people say under communism it was better. Over the rule and the influence of the Soviet Union, they thought it would be better. And now live under Viktor Orban. I mean, he's horrible. He's super stupid and incompetent. But still, you guys think communism was better than him? And okay, he's also a dictator, but I think I would rather live in a semi-democratic capitalist country than under a clearly super obvious dictatorship in the Warsaw Pact. I think I would prefer to live in nowadays Hungary than in the 80s Hungary. And now we have the real occupation zones of Germany. Like all of you, I'm fairly certain, saw on that map how Germany was split up. But often the main winners of the Second World War, so the British, the Soviets, the US Americans, and the French, just gave other countries temporarily the occupation because they were broke and just couldn't afford to occupy that. So for example, the UK giving that strip of land to Belgium, or that to the Dutch, or that to the Why did the Polish get that? What? And last but not least, geographic range of the 8th beer species. In blue, the American black beer. He is like in a lot of Canada and some of the US. For those who don't know, the American black beer is that little guy. Then in purple, the Asiatic black beer, which actually looks very cute. Oh my god, look at that. Look at the ears. Aww. So he's also a beer and he's also black, but looks a little bit different, so he's the Asian black beer. Then the brown beer, in like all of Siberia, Russia and the Nordics, all the way stretching to China and even North Korea. And there we have these little guys. If they wouldn't be so extremely deadly, they would be such a cool pet. I mean, just look at them, they look so cute. Then in red, we just have down there in China. We have the giant panda, which also everybody knows, and oh my god, is that a baby panda? They are super ugly. But if they're adults, they look so cute. Oh, not that, but that, oh. Then in white, which is like all of the North Pole, we have the polar bear, which is personally my favorite because just a polar bear, just look at it, it's just an ice bear. In yellow we have a sloth bear, down in India. What is a sloth bear? That are these bears. I think I've never seen that before, but they look kinda cool. That looks like a dog. And then the spectacle bear in some parts of South America. And I also think I've never seen that before. That is considered a bear? I mean, it looks cute and like a little bit like a bear, but also a bit like a monkey. And then, for the last, we have the sun bear, down in Southeast Asia. Oh my god, these bear species just look so funny. But how cool they are. That one even holds a ball. That one is just a bear. That one stretches its tongue out. So cool. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. You can click on the next video. It will be a similar reaction. Have a great day. Bye.